how can we do something about all these risks? How can we mitigate the risks? Well, first of all, we need to make sure that everybody in our organisation is aware about security, because a security vulnerability can allow software to be used in a way that the developer never intended, never even thought about. And as devices become more connected, it becomes even more important that embedded software is designed and implemented with both safety. Obviously, any sort of embedded system has to be safe, but also has security at the top of mind. It's important to remember here that security, we talk about it a lot with our IT systems, so how having our double authentication, things like that. But here we're talking much lower. We're talking about our actual embedded devices. So to help with this, we have to comply with functional security standards. Now, these are relatively new, so let's have a look. Now, a functional security standard requires that security is at the forefront of development right from the start. So it's every part of the life cycle, development, but prior to that, design, from development to test to actually rolling out the product, but also checking security once that product is out in the field. And we want to build a culture of ownership throughout the organisation so that everybody thinks about security for everything that they're doing. Now, these functional security standards, and I'll give you a couple of examples in a minute, describe the behaviour that enforces security, the best practices. And these behaviours can be tested. And this allows us to see that developers are actually considering their security in their software development. Now, one of the ways we can actually test it and observe it is by enforcing a secure coding standard. And that's something we'll talk about a lot in a few minutes. So a couple of examples here. We have the IIC, now get this right, 810001. I keep missing a zero when I'm talking about it. So let's make sure about that. And this is health software. Now, when it talks about health software, there's all sorts of things here. I was quite fascinated how many medical devices this covers. We can talk about things like our heart monitors. We can talk about diabetes injection mechanisms. But we can also talk about our smart watches that monitor how many steps we do each day. I have one on my wrist at this moment. I'm not sure it's ever that accurate. I'm always thinking I walk far more than it tells me. But it's our health devices are now spreading everywhere in our lives. And this standard is applicable to all of them. And in part 5.1, which is about the product life cycle, as I was saying, security throughout the life cycle, it describes what we should be doing for security. It also requires that we use a secure coding standard. This keeps coming back and gives the examples of MISRA and CERT. And it encourages the adoption of best practices. These are the known best practices in the embedded software world, and this includes the use of static analysis tools. Another functional security standard is one that came out 2 years ago. It's 21434, which is about cybersecurity engineering in vehicle development. And this takes on, again, the whole of the life cycle. looking at where security risks could be introduced in the development of the vehicle. Again, it's looking at a culture of security. Everything we do, is it going to affect the security? And this is becoming a theme. Again, it's asking for the implementation of a secure coding standard, same examples, MISRA, CERT, and highlights static analysis as a verification method.